One. Hi, welcome to the newest episode of Sports Talk Central. I'm your host, Adeep Mahmood, with my normal co-host, Hunter. And today we're going to be talking some hockey for once because Ovechkin broke the record. Broke the goals record. And then we're going to be talking a little bit about the start of MLB season, including the new idea of torpedo bats and what we think about it. And then we're going to talk about some college basketball as ex-Virginia coach Buzz Williams is now returning back to the DMV, going and coaching University of Maryland now. And we'll talk a little bit how we feel about how Kevin Willard treated that whole situation. And then we can talk about the Final Four and the national championship game and what we think about it. So Hunter, why don't you start with hockey with Ovechkin?
Yeah, so Alex Ovechkin, for those that are not aware, he broke Wayne Gretzky's all-time goals record on Sunday. He now has 895 goals. This was a record that for the longest time was basically unbeatable. Like no one thought this record would ever be touched. And then Alex Ovechkin came around, and the thing is, he broke his leg this year. He was out for several weeks. He still broke the record this year and is chugging along like he's 22 years old. Adit, this guy is 39 years old right now. And if you look at his stats for this season, he has 42 goals. Like, he's not going to hit 50 by the end of this year. He's going to come close. He's not going to hit 50. But the fact that he's a 40-goal scorer at age 39 is psycho shit. Like, sorry, excuse my language on that. And, like, he does it his way. Like there's some other hockey players that, they have their strict regimen. Ovechkin's not like that. And, it's so awesome that this record was broken. And this is really a funny comment here. Yes, the entire world was watching a New York Islanders game. Literally, Pete Blackburn. Do you know who Pete Blackburn is?
No, I haven't followed. Can you recap?
He does some hockey stuff. He does other sports media stuff. But he literally even tweeted this exact comment. Like, yeah, it's awesome that Ovechkin broke the record because we are all now watching a New York Islanders game. You're not going to get that joke, but basically the New York Islanders are one of the most boring teams to watch in hockey. It was really bad into the Barry Trotz days. Great coach, by the way. Really bad in the Trotz days because they would just do a lot of 2-1, 3-2 games. They didn't have a lot of high offensive talent. They still got to the conference final a couple of times. They had great goaltending. They played really well defensively. Now the roster is kind of the same, but they don't have Barry Trotz anymore, and they haven't gotten as good of goaltending since then. So, again, Patrick Waugh is the head coach. I think he's the greatest goalie of all time. They're still boring to watch, not as boring, but it is at least a really funny comment. But I love that Ovechkin scored that goal in his spot. Like, you've watched at least a little bit of hockey to know what Ovechkin's spot is on the wing. And he absolutely ripped that past Ilya Sorokin. Amazing celebration, by the way. And, some people will have their takes on who they think is the best goal scorer of all time. Some people will say it's, Gretzky, Mike Bossy. Some people will say Mario Lemieux before he got hurt and had the Hodgkin's lymphoma and all that. To me, I will still say it's Alex Ovechkin. And I think this record is going to stay for a very long time. There is only one player right now who I think even has a remote chance to take it, and that's Austin Matthews. But he has to stay healthy, and he has to keep producing at the level that he's been playing at throughout his career before we start talking about if he can break that record. If he doesn't, I think this is a record that will not be touched for a very long time. It's crazy, man. Like, I am so happy for him. Even as someone who, the Capitals are a rival team to the Penguins, it was so awesome seeing this chase play out in real time. And, the Capitals are a good team. Like, I think they're one of the three best teams in the Eastern Conference this year, them, Panthers, and the Lightning, and they're going to be a really tough out in the playoffs. So congrats to Ovi. Very well deserved. And I'm really excited for it. Well, at least for the rest of the season, but banger of a goal. The all-night celebration was great. Seeing him come back to Washington, drink a couple of beers, that was great. You look at how many people congratulated him in the arena. Look how much hockey is being discussed today. Like, this is a massive deal because, again, this record's not going to be broken for a very long time, if not ever. So congratulations to him once again.
Do you think, because I know that a lot of people are talking about how, the goal, Ovechkin broke the goals record, but the assist record and the points record that's going to stay on for a long time. So you think Wayne will have that record for like that's not going to be broken?
Which one? The points record?
Yeah, either the points or the assist record.
The points record. No one's touching that. I mean, I would be stunned. Even with Connor McDavid in the league, he's not even going to break that record. I mean, Sidney Crosby is top 10 all time in scoring right now. I think he has an outside shot to get in the top 5 by the time he stops playing. I don't think anyone's touching Wayne's record there for especially points. But yeah, or Sean's right here. Like the fact that he did it all with Washington is flat out fantastic. You know, he has one more year left on his contract. I expect next season to be his last year before he retires from the NHL. The fact that he did all of this with the Caps, nothing short of outstanding. And again, he and Sidney Crosby, people don't talk about this enough. They saved the league. Like the NHL was in not that good of a place when they came into the league 20 years ago. And it's always great when two players have such high expectations, especially Ovechkin, and they not only meet those expectations, they exceed them and then some. And Ovi, to me, is going to go down as a top 10 player of all time. So will Sidney Crosby. And it's just awesome seeing them get their flowers, especially Ovechkin right now, for so many people. I'm really excited to see what they can do in the playoffs, even though they're a rival team. But again, awesome stuff. And it was even fun seeing him trying to break it at home. Like, I know some people are going to be like, oh, why didn't he do it at home? Why didn't he do it at home? Well, that's the way the schedule breaks. And he was trying at the end of that game against Chicago. Like, he had a couple of goals. He had a couple really good chances. Spencer Knight just made a couple of really good saves at home. But you saw in that arena, it felt like a home crowd on Long Island. And it was awesome. So congratulations to Ovi, man. It was really spectacular.
Yeah. So we'll move on to, so this is just a few people from the Orioles Discord that I just shared the link, and then they're
nice. That's awesome. I was wondering because we don't get too many comments, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, that's why it took me a while. Like I had you talk a little bit first, so I could kind of share the link and everything. But yeah, so let's move on. We can move on to the next topic here. Let's talk some college basketball here. So obviously, before we talk about Houston and Florida meeting the national championship game. Obviously, we know that Maryland, one of the big stories in the DMV was Maryland had a great run. Both the men and women's team, they had a great run to. They had a great run, and then obviously it was marred by. Pigtown. We'll talk about this. By the way, Zach Pigtown.
Florida. I am taking Florida tonight. By the way, yes.
Yeah,
I have them in my bracket. I can get third in my bracket challenge if Florida wins. My girlfriend gets first if Houston wins. Actually, funny enough, she took Houston. Yeah. I will take Florida to win. I think they've been the best team in the country since January, and I will take them to win tonight. It's been a bit rough a few times in the tournament, but their bigs are so good. Walter Clayton honestly kind of reminds me of a very mini version of Steph Curry with the way he shoots the threes. So I will take Florida to win this. But yeah, I know you were talking about.
So Pigtown Sports, he's a former minor leaguer, so it's pretty cool that we have.
Oh, awesome.
So, but yeah, no, I got Florida. I mean, their favorite right now is like -1.5. I know Houston had the they had the massive comeback against Duke, which is always great to see. That Duke lost. But yeah, I mean,
that was a terrible choke, man. You're up 14 with 8 minutes left. You're up 6 with basically a minute left. You can't close that out. Like that's a generational choke right there. I'm sorry, that was bad.
Yeah, and then Joe's from Arkansas, so so he's rooting for Florida. But yeah, no. So I think, but yeah, why don't we just talk about that one? I mean, the it is pretty interesting because it is the youngest, one of the younger, Pigtown Sports. And then Pigtown Sports, that's always great when Duke chose.
Pigtown Sports, yes. It is always great when Duke loses. Their fan base always deserves that. Like, we come from Virginia Tech, so I am always okay if Duke loses. But yeah, like the Maryland stuff, I actually like the hire of Buzz Williams. Maryland fans, though, if I want to make the joke that they shouldn't expect him there for 10 plus years, I'll say that.
It's 5. 5
to 6 you can expect. But he's going to get good results out of that program, right? I think he can take them deep into the tournament. I'm not going to sit here and say Final Four or national championship, but Sweet 16, Elite 8. We'll have to see. Kevin Willard is a great coach. Replacing him is going to be tough because, he went to Villanova. He got Maryland really deep this year. And, this team is set up for a lot of future success. I really like Queen. I mean, he was fantastic this year for the Terps. I'm excited to see what Buzz Williams can do with him, just because when I look at someone like that, he kind of reminds me, you'll appreciate this.
Queen's going to the NBA draft.
You think so?
Yeah.
Oh.
Let me check if he declared. But
I wanted him to stay for another year, because I feel like with how Buzz did such a good job with Kerry Blackshear, I think he could do a great job with Derek Queen if he decides to stay. But that's just me.
Yeah. He officially announces. That he is going to the NFL draft. But
that is so weird because last week when they hired him, he was so excited about it. Then I guess he just declared right after. Oh well.
I mean, it would be. So I think that is. But also we all know how good Buzz is. He's gonna maybe 1 year it's gonna struggle a little bit, but he will carry. He took Virginia Tech to the Elite Eight. That was probably the most exciting. Yeah, that was most exciting. Yes, Pigtown Sports. Yes, he is projected to be a top 10 to 15 pick. It would be cool. It would be cool for the Wizards. I'm not a Wizards fan, but it would be cool to see him kind of stay within that area. But I do like so he did bring in 2 transfers, Miles Rice from Indiana and Pharrell Payne from Texas A&M. Both averaged about 10.1 points per game. What I do like about the Buzz Williams pick is he is if you notice, he coached at Marquette. He coached at Virginia Tech. He's coached at A&M. He's coaching at Maryland. He has coached, I believe, in the 4 or 5 major conferences.
Yeah.
So you want someone this is a complete shit show. It is a shit show any time that you lose a coach when the recruiting window and the transfer window is almost done. It is unfortunate. And Maryland is going. And by the way, Maryland also has to deal with a new AD. They got to replace their athletic director. So bringing in someone like Buzz Williams with the veteran experience that he has, and by the way, he probably could bring in recruits or transfers with his name alone. I think Maryland is in a really good place because if it wasn't him, then there were probably some other smaller school younger coaches. But yeah, I mean, it's gonna look Maryland. He's gonna be there for 5 to 6 years. You're going to enjoy it, and then hopefully by around that 4th or 5th year, he grooms someone. But look, and the other thing is he wanted this job.
Yeah.
The moment that Willard was potentially leaving, he wanted this job, and then was the way that Willard was actually kind of leveraging the lack of resources that he was getting at Maryland. It just seemed like he didn't want to say, I wanted to leave Maryland, but he wanted to leave Maryland. And I think that's it sucks. I definitely have friends who go to University of Maryland, so I do feel happy that they went out and did that. So then also just to put a recap on the championship game, I think we both have Florida in there, but there's some cool storylines. Florida has one of the youngest head coaches. Houston has one of the oldest ones. It's really cool, young versus old. It's both number 1 seeds. So it is Houston. And then obviously Florida has Walter Clayton Jr., who's been one of the best players right now in this tournament. So it should be a fun game. And look, I understand that it is chalk. The 4 number 1 seeds were chalk, but those were pretty fun games.
Those were really good games. Yes. I know some people were not happy with the NCAA tournament because there weren't that many upsets. However, I would push back a little bit on the people who weren't unhappy and be like, sometimes it is fine if the big seeds win because you are guaranteed usually to get really good games. And I have felt like from the Sweet 16 onward, we have gotten some fairly good games. In the Elite 8, yeah, there were some blowouts. I expected some of the 1 versus 2 games to be better. I will admit that, especially, Tennessee getting blown out, Alabama getting blown out. I picked Tennessee and Alabama to get to the Final Four. I was all in on the SEC bias this year, people. I will fully admit that. I had a chance for a perfect Final Four, but then that got ruined. And then Michigan State also, I don't really think played that well either. But still, this was the first year since 2008 that we had 4 number 1 seeds in the Final Four. Again, some people are going to think like, oh, that's annoying. Like we loved seeing, NC State, for example, go on to the Final Four last year. Yeah, that's good. I love a Cinderella as much as anyone. I love upsets as much as anyone, excuse me. But hey, man, I still love when the top seeds go at it and they produce some really good games. And both games in the Final Four, man, were awesome. The Florida game was great against Auburn, back and forth throughout. And then even though Duke was blowing out Houston for a majority of that game, it got really good in the final 8 minutes. And I have really appreciated this tournament, and I really think we're going to get a good game tonight. It's going to start here in a few minutes. Again, I'm going to take Florida. I think they've been the best team in the country these last few months, but hey, it's anyone's game. Houston has been also fantastic throughout the season. Sampson is such a good coach. They did a great job shooting the 3-ball to end the game against Duke. They were hitting their free throws down the stretch. The big thing with Florida is that Houston has to stop. Florida is also really good at shooting the long ball, especially Walter Clayton Jr. Their bigs are also really strong. If they can get Condon involved a bit, in the paint, it's going to be a tough game for Houston to win, but I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah, so so let's move on to the third topic. Was there anything in the NFL you want to talk about?
No, just Steelers are waiting for Aaron Rodgers, and then we've got the draft coming up. I think Cam Ward's going number 1 to the Titans. We'll have to see what the Browns decide to do. I think right now it might be a toss-up between Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter. We're going to have to see. And then number 3, the Giants. I have no idea what they're planning to do. So could be Shadur, could be one of Carter or Hunter. We will have to see. But, we can go on to the torpedo bats. Indeed, I know I saw a lot of takes from a lot of baseball fans when this first came out because it was Michael Kay, if I recall correctly, it was on the network, and he was telling everyone about, the Yankees analytics team took a look at Anthony Volpe throughout last season, and they made some changes to the bats. And that's when you saw the explosion of home runs start the season for the Yankees. And you saw some people saying like, MLB's got to investigate this. MLB's got to investigate this. The Yankees haven't done anything wrong here. Like MLB is not going to investigate this, at least not that. I've been doing a lot of reading before the show about this. They're not going to. And you even have what Rob Manfred said. He's not, he says it's good for the game. And I know Rob Manfred's not a good commissioner, people. I get it. But I just had to bring that up because he even said, he was asked about this. He said, I believe that issues like the torpedo bat and the debate around it demonstrate the fact that baseball still occupies a unique place in our culture. He is right about that, even though he's wrong about a lot of things. He says, because people get into a complete frenzy over something that's really nothing at the end of the day, the bats comply with the rules. So there you go, D. There's no investigation with that.
Yeah, no, I think what's really clear about it is it's like, it used to be steroids, like that was the big way to promote offense, and that's not the healthiest way of living. Now, what I think was really great about the torpedo bat, and I'll kind of explain the exact science of it. It was a little complicated at first until I read up on it, but when you think about it, like steroids, other than just being cheap, it just hurts your health and it just promotes unhealthy living. What I like about the torpedo bat, and I think this is something that people don't really bring up that often, we are now living in a data world. Wherever you go, we're on YouTube right now. It is data-driven. Sports, that is data-driven. So, and knowledge is power. So these torpedo bats are meant basically for everyone. Adley Rutschman for the Orioles use it. A bunch of other players use it. It's Yankees because it just so happened that the bats were hitting they were turning Nestor Cortez from Mario to Wario in like an inning or so. So I think because of that, they were looking at people kind of anticipated people anticipated because it was all power. But then you kind of realize a lot of players were using. I think some players were using it last year. So I do like the idea. So I do like the idea of this being used. Now the challenge is, over time, do pitchers adjust? So for those who don't know, basically what the torpedo bat does, it is positioned. So basically, the idea is the barrel is now pointed closer to the hitter's hands, so that it's a larger contact region where there's more weight, so it creates more contact with the ball. It's because because the center of mass is shifted, torpedo bats can feel lighter and easier to control. So basically, it allows for quicker. Essentially, if pitchers try to pitch inside, it allows for quicker swings, quicker swings to hit that inside pitch a lot harder than it was before. Because at first, I thought it was the challenge for me was I thought it was by centralizing the area where the weight is. If you don't get it in that weight, it severely weakens it more. But it is legal, and it is something that you should use. Now, the challenge, okay, so yeah, so we may have some viewers call in or something. I've shared the link on something, but we'll see. But yeah, so I think it is really interesting. It is a fun thing to do, but here's what I do think. Throughout the season, it'll even out, and the teams that have the best hitting approach will be the teams that ultimately will succeed with it. And the teams,
like the Yankees, of course.
Yeah,
the Dodgers will be the same thing too.
Yeah, no, and the teams that aren't as advanced will be also the teams that don't take advantage of it. And we're still going to have that, this is an advantage because of the teams that have success. But what we're not learning is you still have to hit the ball. You still have to hit the ball and good hitters. And so now that's just on a torpedo bat. Why don't you talk about what you're seeing from the Nationals?
Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit of a slow start for Dylan Cruz to the season, but you're starting to see the contact really ramp up here. I think he's going to be just fine. He's having a really good game today against the Dodgers. The Nats are up 6-3 right now. If the bullpen can actually hold it, which has just been a disaster to start the season, which honestly, again, I'm not surprised by because ownership really did not want to do anything with it during the offseason. That's one of the areas where I think I think they got to be, the Lerner family needs to stop being cheap with the bullpen is what I'm trying to say. But CJ Abrams is having one heck of a start to the season. Really nice to see after how last season ended for him. You remember the first half of last season, he was an all-star. Like, he was playing ridiculously well. So I like that he's having a really good start. James Wood had a home run tonight. He's starting to break out a little bit. Mackenzie Gore had another really good outing, 6 strong innings, only 2 runs, the 2-run home run to Shohei Ohtani, because, Ohtani's just going to do that to everyone, honestly, at this point. But the starting pitching, for the most part, I feel like has been fine. The bullpen is still going to be a problem, I think, throughout the season. There's too many pitchers in the bullpen who are just not very good. Like Sims came in the 8th inning tonight. He already gave up a run and he's out of the game. They have to rely on Kyle Finnegan for a 5-out save. He is the only player in this bullpen that I trust. And that's sad to see. So, there's going to be some more learning curves. If they can hold on here, they'll get to 4-6 to start the season. They've won 3 in a row. If they win this game, they just took 2 out of 3 against the Diamondbacks, which is really nice. But still, I like how CJ's playing. I like how James Wood is starting to hit the ball. Dylan Cruz, I think, is going to be just fine. They just got to move him up a bit more in the lineup full time. And I love how Mackenzie Gore is pitching this year, man. I really do. So those are some early thoughts on the Nats this year. Still really early. If they can hold on here, they'll give the Dodgers only their 3rd loss of the season, which is really nice.
Yep, and we're gonna have our first call, and it's Sean. He kind of calls into the Orioles, so we'll bring in. We'll bring in Sean. Hey, Sean, what's up?
Not much. Okay, since Joe wanted me to do this one. Okay. Recently, last few years, there's been all this talk about elbow injuries going up in pitching. Some people say it's velocity, some people say it's the pitch clock, but nobody seems to be giving any credit to what Tyler Glasnow said about his and the band of the sticky stuff. So do me a favor here. Not a 4-seam, but kind of grip that as a 2-seam, but make sure your
It's been a while.
closest is right on the inner seam.
Like this?
You want to make sure that your finger... No.
Okay.
You want to make sure that you're only exposing 2 seams with your fingers, but make sure your one finger is right up against the seam.
Oh, yeah, I'm really sorry, Sean. It's been a while.
So that's fine. Now grip it as hard as you can.
All right. Yep.
Where are you feeling pressure at?
Here and here.
Are you feeling anything in your elbow?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Right on like the dead center, or right on the side, right?
Yeah.
That's your UCL. So imagine if you're doing that 70, 80, 90 times with only a 10-second break as hard as you can.
Yeah.
That's going to put a lot of pressure on your elbow, right?
Yeah, it does.
That goes to show you that the sticky stuff and how hard these pitchers are gripping the ball nowadays, especially with some of these newer pitchers like the sweeper, the kick change, the slurve, those all put extra pressure on your elbow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, the other ones do play a factor too, but don't count out grip.
Yep. And we got Hunter. We got someone from England watching.
Hey, I love it. Good morning. Or, well, good evening from us, but good morning to you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a while since I threw, Sean, but yeah, I can definitely I can definitely see how like the sticky stuff, like the lack of it would hurt the elbow. But yeah, no. But what do you think? But do you think that that did kind of contribute to like there's rise of injuries?
I think it's a combination of multiple factors. I think it's the grip. I think it's they're not getting as much time in between pitches with the pitch clock. Also, if you listen to how some old school pitchers throw, you listen to how, or you look at how Burns throws, you look at how Gibson throws. The veterans that don't get injured much, they're not throwing 100% early on. They're only throwing about 85, 90% for the first 3 or 4 innings. It's one of the reasons why a lot of them tend to get hit harder earlier in the games. Last year, Burns gave up home runs almost every first inning.
What's up, Joe?
Look at that ugly Sean mug.
I know.
But what are your guys' thoughts on the season so far? Like, is there any teams, any trends, any divisions that you find noteworthy?
One of the biggest ones that's kind of shocking is what's going on with the Braves.
Yeah, that's true. The Braves throwing a stinker, and they should be good considering Acuna's back and Strider's back. But that's baseball.
Yeah, I think the NL West. I mean, man, you have 3 of the best teams right there. Third place team's 8-2 right now in the NL West. Man, that is a tough division.
I have serious question marks about the Dodgers' pitching health, and you already see the first domino fall with Snell.
Yep.
Yep. I picked the Diamondbacks to win the West, to be honest.
It all depends on if you can get anything out of Erod.
Yeah, because Montgomery's done, but Burns and Rodriguez should be good, so we'll see.
You still got Gallen. You still got Gallen.
I'm curious if Montgomery's injury was plaguing him last year and they didn't say anything.
Could have been.
What do you think, Hunter?
I mean, I don't really care for the Braves. I mean, I'm a Nationals fan, so that's an easy one for me. But I think they're eventually going to start waking up a little bit because Acuna is going to get hot. But I definitely didn't see this start going for them. The West is insane. I mean, that's kind of an arms race. I got to say, man, I was stunned the Jays signed Vlad last night. I did not think they were going to get that done. And he was really hurt by what happened last time with the negotiations. I am very surprised they got that done.
Third largest contract in baseball history.
Jays finally did it. They've been getting second place with all these top players, and they finally got first.
I will say this about the Nationals, though. If ever there was a no-brainer for that first-round pick, it's this draft.
Yes, I would agree.
And that'll be a fun matchup for the next few years with if it's Ethan.
I think it's going to be Ethan, but we'll see. I think it will be though.
Yeah, it should be, unless they trade the pick and get a bunch of stuff back. But I don't know why they would.
No, they won't do that.
I think the other guy would have been. I think there was a guy from Texas A&M, like the outfielder or something. That would have been the other. That's like the top college player. But speaking of college baseball, I mean, Joe, you were talking on Discord about Arkansas baseball.
Yeah, 30-3. Can't get much better. Score 51 runs in 24 hours. Sweep Missouri, 10-1 in the SEC play. Number 1 in the country, and 9 batters above 300 and 11 pitchers below 4 ERA. I think that's a pretty good team.
Yeah, no, I think Hunter, I think I've been following Virginia Tech baseball a little bit more, but they definitely were scoring a lot of runs to start with. They've been kind of quieting down, but they did have a couple of series wins against top 25 teams recently, and they're in the top 25 in Baseball America.
Yeah, it's SEC and ACC and everybody else. I mean, you got Coastal in there, but the Sun Belt's not gonna bring anybody to Omaha. Let's be real. I mean, it's possible, but I'll believe in June, because every year this team breaks my heart, like the Orioles. Every year since 2019, when Adley Rutschman and Oregon State broke my heart. That's the year I started rooting for the Razorbacks in baseball, and they bucknered the last out of the World Series and lost to Oregon State, and it's been heartbreak every year since. But they got a really good team, so we'll see. They play. I forgot already. Next week, they play A-State tomorrow, though, so the rain finally stops, so they'll get a game in, and it should be decent weather. It was 38 degrees on Sunday when they were playing Missouri. I've never seen college ball players come up to the plate in hoodies, but they were wearing hoodies over their jerseys.
We'll not go to a game in that weather.
Seen it under the jersey, but I've never seen them just come up with hoodies on over the jersey.
Mm-hmm.
But they lost big time. They wanted to get out of there real quick, so it all worked out. But yeah, it should be a good year. It's shaping up to be a good one, and one of the best pitching staffs Dave's had in a long time. And 2 of them are hurt, so they come back, it's going to be even better.
Yeah, are there any last things either you or Sean want to add before you?
Man, appreciate you guys having me on, and it's
Yeah.
cool you guys do this. I mean, obviously, it's not a day job or anything. It's just for fun and to hang out. So, yeah, anytime you want somebody, come on, I'll hang out with you. I got some time.
All right.
Oh,
See ya,
perfect. Appreciate it. Yes, thank you.
Later, guys.
later.
Later, fellas.
Yeah, we'll end the show there. This was our first show. I did put an effort on the Discord just to create more awareness for the show. That's why I went on a little longer. But yeah, we'll see you. We'll see you probably this Sunday, covering a little bit more of the college, a little bit more of what's going on in college basketball, baseball, and depending what news. We'll see you then.
Yep. See you then.